You don't know what's happening in someone's life. You never, ever know 100% what is happening in someone's life because you're not living in their shoes. You are not living in their brain. You are not living in their experiences, their past experiences, their present experiences. You're not there. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I am so excited you are here. We have a special request episode today, which I'm super excited about. Someone asked if I would do an episode on judgment and how to let it go. So we're going to talk about how to let go of judgment, how to see when you're in judgment, and also how it affects your body, mind, and soul. So let's start there. As a part of the human experience, we experience judgment. It is just a natural part of the human experience. We want to judge to make sure we're in alignment with something. So judgment is not necessarily a bad thing. It becomes a bad thing when we're in excessive judgment, when we're in negative judgment, because judgment is negative, positive, or neutral. And so positive judgment is discernment. So we can discern between our intuition and our ego. We can discern if that person is in alignment with us to be in relationship with. Maybe our intuition is telling us, no, that person's not a good person to be in alignment with. And then you find out that they're a user. That's good judgment. That's very good judgment. However, when we are in excessive judgment towards ourselves and towards others, it impacts our body, mind, and soul. Spiritually, if we are in excessive judgment, it cuts us off from our interconnection with the universe, with the divine, with God, whatever sacred title you have, that beautiful being. And when we cut ourselves off from that interconnection, we find ourselves in isolation. We find ourselves being lonely. And who doesn't, like, I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to feel isolated. That's super depressing. And that can cause depression of the soul because you're not expressing yourself in the way that is an uplifting, positive, growing way. And I also use the word growing because it's not about always being positive either, because again, judgment can be positive in terms of, hey, I'm in discernment. That's not healthy for me. My intuition is telling me to beware. That's a good judgment. And so your intuition might feel something icky, and so you stay away from it. So when it comes to judgment, you're also going to be impacted with negative judgment on a physical level, because physically it causes tension and stress and dis-ease within the body. And so if you're in constant judgment, or you're judging yourself, or you're judging others, it's going to cause this tension, this stress. Your cortisol levels are going to go up because you're in a different state of being. You're not in a calm state. You're not in a positive state. Your subconscious knows the difference between positive thoughts and negative thoughts, which then impact the physical body. Mentally, if you're in a constant state of judgment, mentally, you're going to get into these feedback loops. And these feedback loops are where your subconscious or your conscious mind is telling you the same thing over and over and over and over again. And what ends up happening when you have that feedback loop, you send the signal out to the universe that says, please send me more of these experiences. So please send me more judgment so I can judge myself or I can judge others. Please make me correct in this situation. And that's super stressful. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be in a constant state of negativity. Like it doesn't feel good when I'm experiencing that whatsoever. And when you're in that state mentally, what ends up happening is it causes more stress, and it causes you to be looking for the negative in the experience or the situation, either for yourself or for others as well. And then emotionally, when you are talking bad about others or yourself, that causes resentment, stress, and anger to occur. And that stress, resentment, and anger can cause the feedback loop to continue to happen as well, because we're not processing our emotions in a healthy way. And that's difficult. That's really, really difficult, because we can talk about them in sections like this, but they all feed into one another no matter what. They absolutely feed. The spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical, they all feed into one another. And so let's talk about how you can recognize when you're in judgment. 1, you're easily offended. 2, you're super critical of others, super critical of yourself. And that can be an and or. You're defensive. You're in constant comparison. So if you're comparing yourself to others, that is a clear sign you are in judgment. And the 5th one is you're overly concerned about what other people think, which is a big one. Like, I know that we're all concerned about what other people think, and it can be hard, but when we're in these comparisons, when we're defensive, like, it's not helping us. And that's what can be really, really challenging and really, really hard. And so when you notice that you are in judgment, you want to bring your awareness to it. That's like step number 1. Like, bring your awareness to the fact that you're in judgment. Oh, I'm being ultra defensive right now. Like, why am I defending myself? Why do I feel the need to defend myself? What's going on? And so you can get curious about why you're having certain reactions so that you can change them. Once you get into this awareness of letting go of the judgment, because that's how we have to let go, is you have to bring yourself to awareness. Then you got to give yourself permission to consider other perspectives. And I think this is really important, because so often we will judge ourselves, we will judge other people, where we don't give ourselves permission to have a different perspective. And this is why I love the Akashic Record so much, because the Guardians offer a 360-degree perspective on any given situation. And I'll give you an example. I remember earlier this year, I heard this story around this teacher that was caught drinking during school hours while she was teaching. And I could feel myself instantly get mad. Like, I got mad about it because I was triggered. Like, my stepdad was an alcoholic. And so I'm thinking, man, she's teaching our youth. Like, oh, like, I'm mad. And then in a split second, I gave myself permission to feel that feeling. Just because we move to anger instantly, or we have a certain reaction instantly, doesn't mean we have to stay there, because triggers are an invitation to heal. And so instead of being mad and angry and going, how dare she do that, I moved into compassion, because that's part of releasing judgment. Is we have to give ourselves permission to feel that inner connection between that person. And I'll often ask myself, if I was doing that, what is happening for me to be doing something like that to cause that behavior? Even if I would never do that, I would never go to a school and drink, but you don't know what's happening in someone's life. You never, ever know 100% what is happening in someone's life, because you're not living in their shoes. You are not living in their brain. You are not living in their experiences, their past experiences, their present experiences. You're not there. So what we can do is if we do get triggered or we do get angry or we do get resentful or we notice we're criticizing, give yourself permission to move into compassion, because moving into compassion will give you the opportunity to see a new perspective. So for me, I was like, what is happening for her that she feels the need to drink every day and she has to be drinking during the day? Because if you're an alcoholic, if you're to the point where you have to drink during the day, you're most likely going to have a seizure because of it. So it's not as easy as, let me snap my finger, I'm done drinking alcohol. No, if someone's drinking an excessive amount of alcohol, it is dangerous. It could kill them by stop drinking. So they need professional help with that. And so anybody that's dealing with substance abuse, it is a mental health disorder. And we don't know what that person is experiencing. We don't know what the thoughts that are going on in their mind. And so if we move into compassion and we give ourselves permission to have an alternative perspective on what's happening for them, we can move out of that judgment and we can move out of that criticism. And should she have been drinking at work? Absolutely not. But guess what? She has a problem. And we have to rally around this person to assist her in getting better. Another thing that you can do to let go of judgment is to be mindful. So when you are noticing tension or noticing criticism, pause and take a breath. Mindfulness is something that we practice not only because we might be in judgment. Mindfulness is just practice in general. And so pausing and taking a breath, having reflections, going to be very, very important. Another thing that you can do is practice gratitude. So, sometimes we can move into judgment because someone is behaving in a certain way and we don't appreciate their behavior, and we can tell them about that behavior. We can talk to them in a healthy way about it. But maybe we realize that they're having a bad day and you moved into judgment and you didn't consider another perspective. Well, then you can move into gratitude. Like, I'm so grateful for having this person in my life. I'm so appreciative of the things that they do. I'm sorry that I went into judgment earlier about them. And this is all something you can say internally to yourself. If you owe the person an apology, absolutely apologize. But sometimes, we have a lot of things that happen in our mind that aren't necessarily happening outside of our mind. And so the subconscious doesn't take a joke, and the subconscious will work through all of that, especially if you judge someone and then you found out like, oh, I didn't consider this other's perspective. And then it makes you feel guilty or ashamed of that judgment. Practice gratitude. Gratitude's a really powerful way to raise the frequency. Also, I love practicing gratitude if I'm judging myself. Let's say I said something negative about myself, and then all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, that was kind of harsh. Like you become aware of it. Say something that you appreciate about yourself. And it could be related back to the thing that you criticize, or it could be something unrelated. But gratitude helps raise the frequency. And it's super, super important to have a daily gratitude practice, not only to help let go of judgment, but it just changes your mindset. And so maybe you have a hard time even recognizing that you're in judgment. Just having a daily gratitude practice where you're looking at, what am I grateful for the day? That's going to instantly start to shift your vibrational frequency. And you'll be looking for things to be grateful for that you're like, I love this cup of coffee. Ooh, I'm so grateful that I got to talk to my coworker today about XYZ. Or, oh, I just love this brand new sweater that I got. It feels so luxurious on my skin. Ooh, I'm so grateful that I got to have laughter today at the coffee shop I went to. Whatever. can be about the smallest, littlest things. And it shifts your frequency, which then will also ultimately assist you in not having so much judgment, because we all know that we don't want that. The next way to shift out of judgment is to practice self compassion. So, yes, we are having compassion towards others, but we also want to practice that compassion towards ourselves. And so, anytime you find that you are in judgment towards yourself or to others, practice compassion. Remind yourself you're still learning. Remind yourself you're shifting out of this behavior. Remind yourself that you totally have the capability of having more compassion for yourself and having more compassion towards others as well. One more way that you can let go of judgment is to surround yourself with positivity. That does not mean that you're going to be surrounded by positivity 100% of the time. That would be very strange if you were, because as a human, we're going to have experiences that trigger us, that push us, that assist us in evolving. But if you're around people that sit there and judge and judge and judge and judge and judge, or someone that's just negative, maybe you're surrounded by people that are negative all day long, it's going to be really hard for you to not be negative, to not move into judgment. And so if you surround yourself with experiences, people, places, and things that allow you to experience positivity in a new way, that's going to support you in letting go of judgment. It's going to support you in experiencing life in a different way. Remember, judgment is positive, negative, and neutral. We want the positive. We want the discernment. That is an absolutely the most important necessity as a part of our human experience. We need discernment. What we don't require is a bunch of negativity, a bunch of negative projections around ourselves and around others. And so when we give ourselves permission to bring our awareness to those judgments, to see their effects and choose something different, or be curious about our behavior so we can have a different experience, we get to evolve. And that's really cool, like super cool. So, all right, my friends, I hope you have found this episode helpful. Please make sure you like and subscribe. And if you have a special request on a topic, you can comment below or you can email us. And I'm happy to see how we can fit those in. So I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care. Bye.